Good morning. Would we all please stand for the invocation provided by Commissioner Barr, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
May we bow in an attitude of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we say thank you for this beautiful day in Washington County. Thank you for the opportunity to serve others. Lord, direct us and guide us. May we honor you and please you in the things we do and say. We lift up this morning our firefighters, emergency service personnel, and 911 call center, all of our emergency services personnel. They've had a very active and busy weekend, and I'm sure they're stressed. And Lord, just watch over them and protect them and give them safety. Use us for thy service, I pray in thy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to call the Washington County Board of County Commissioners February 6, 2018 meeting to order. With that, I'd like to ask for the approval of the January 30th, 2018 minutes. in the essence of time, we do have to be out of here 11 o'clock or shortly thereafter, so we're going to be moving kind of fast on our agenda items. And I guess there's a possibility that some staff may have to come to the evening meeting in Williamsport, so we'll see how it all works out. We're going to try to get through everything, though. So let's go ahead and we'll start with commissioner reports and comments, and we'll have one commissioner report, I believe, from Commissioner Barr, and then the rest of the commissioners will comment this evening.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity. I will not be present this evening. I have a family viewing and will be attending to that event, so to speak. I would just like to make the comment that last Wednesday, along with the Chamber, the Greater Hagerstown Committee, Leadership Washington County, there was a full day of Washington County and Annapolis. Sheriff was there. We met with the delegation early in the morning. It was an all-day exposure, meeting with some of the delegates and senators, different appointments and the like. One thing that did stick out, and that was Wednesday afternoon, the full group in its entirety met with a number of the governor's senior staff, along with President Miller and Speaker Bush. A note of interest, one of the last questions that was asked of Secretary Brinkley, Chief Financial Officer for the Governor's Office, was what do we need to do in Washington County, in Hagerstown? And he made it very, very, very clear to start the downtown project soon. And when he was questioned on that, he goes, ladies and gentlemen, I mean like soon. He goes, you have the governor's money, you have other revenue sources in place with the state of Maryland. All basically what he didn't say in words, but you could tell, was all eyes in Annapolis are focused upon the UIP and the project downtown. And he made it very clear that we should get our resources together, get our heads together, and get a shovel in the ground. And so I just, I mentioned that because I think between the Maryland Theater, Maryland Symphony Orchestra, the STEM project with the school and the expansion of Barbara Ingram is very, very critical to this community. So I would just like to see us take that little nudge and do whatever we can to work together, to share resources, both physically and financially, and let's make this community proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just another positive thing that's going on in Washington County. All the county commissioners are behind the project. We're trying to move it forward. And just another outstanding project that this current board has brought forward for Washington County. So thank you for those comments, Commissioner. Okay, let's move down to citizens' participation at 10:30. So let's see if there's any citizens here today that would care to participate in the front row, second row. Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
I'm Pat Schooley. I live at 20702 Old Forge Road in the oldest dated house in the county. I'm coming to you today to talk to you about the MDOT's plan to tear down the Devil's Backbone Bridge, which you've seen in the picture. Which you have seen in the newspaper. It is now before the Maryland Historical Trust. They are seeking comments from citizens, so I would ask all those of you here to write the trust, telling them that this is an important bridge to our county. Of course, emotionally it's important. It's one of our 23 stone-arched bridges. But more than that, it represents who we are, and it to the rest of the world, and it's part of the attraction we have for tourism industry. And tourism is our second most important industry in this county after farming. If we want to keep our lifestyle, we want to keep the tourists coming. They're wonderful. They come, they spend their money, and they don't send their children to school here. We've got to appreciate this industry, and we've got to make it as easy as possible for individual people here to run a tourism-related business that exposes our agricultural culture. As I said, the Maryland Historical Trust is receiving information. I think it would be most impressive to have you, as representatives of all the citizens of the county, tell them that you consider this bridge as important. And I don't understand why the State Highway Administration can come into the county and do anything they want to in here without your approval. But I don't understand how government works. So that's my plea.
Neither do we.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess the commissioner's interested in staff putting together a letter.
I believe it's on our agenda for the next historic district.
Okay.
Tomorrow, yes.
Okay. So, thank you. Anyone else in the second row care to participate? Anyone else here in the chambers care to participate in citizens' participation? Okay, that concludes citizens' participation. You want to do any staff reports now or this evening?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay.
I think if we could start, Stephanie.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Stephanie Stone, the Director of Health and Human Services, and I have several positions that I need your approval to move forward with. The first one is the Director of the Office of Community Grant Manager. It's part of the Budget and Finance Division, and the department is the Community Grant Management, which I think we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. The position is a grade 16 step 1. It starts at $63,441 a year, and the position's open because of the promotion of Jim Hovis to Chief Operating Officer. Our recommendation is to promote Susan Buchanan, who is currently the Senior Grant Manager in the same department. And she has been with the county employee since November of 2009 and the Senior Grant Manager since October 2013. She holds a bachelor's degree in Business Administration and Management from Hood, and she is a lifelong resident of Washington County.
Motion?
Second.
We also would like to fill her position since she's moving up.
We have a motion on the floor.
Sorry.
Okay, a motion and a second for Susan Buchanan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Okay.
Okay. The second one is the position of business leader is in the Department of Business Development, and it's a grade 15, step 2 is what we're recommending at $60,819 a year. This is a new position created based on the needs of the county and the Department of Business Development. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We are recommending to hire Susan Small into the position of business leader. She's currently the real property administrator in the Washington County Engineering Department, where she served since November of 2014. She's previously held a variety of positions as real estate broker and marketing assistant and agent, and we feel she would do a really good job. She'll be reporting to Cassie Lewis.
I think you're going to do a motion on each individual one of these. The question is, she started to ask about filling back positions. You just do a consensus on those when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the consensus on filling the back positions first. Everyone okay with that?
So moved.
Okay, and then we need a motion for.
Correct.
So moved.
A motion and a second for the last proposal. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
The next position is the position of Chief Financial Officer. In the Budget and Finance Department, the position is a grade 20. We're recommending that the person come in at a step 3, which is $92,435 a year. We are recommending to hire Sarah Greaves, who is currently in the position of Deputy Director of Budget and Finance in Washington County. Sarah's done an excellent job in this position, which she's been in since October of 2014. Her prior position was as an accountant in the same department. She's previously been accounting budget analyst for the city of Hagerstown. She has a master's degree in business administration, and she obtained her CPA license in December of 2014.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the CFO position. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Congratulations, Ms. Greaves.
Where's my? Hold on, there's one
Thank
more.
you.
We would like to fill the position of Public Relations Coordinator. It's part of the Public Relations and Marketing Department. This is a new position that was created when James Jenkins resigned, who had been in a manager position. It's a grade 15, step 1, starts at $58,760 an hour. We are recommending Brittany Higgins, who's from Williamsport, Maryland. We interviewed quite a few candidates. There was a lot of interest in the job, and we feel she is the best person to come into the position. She does have a bachelor's degree and a lot of bachelor's degree from Bridgewater and a lot of involvement with college recruitment.
Just to clarify, the salary is $58,000 and change per year.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
If you make a motion to approve as presented, I didn't want it to be $58,000 an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Thank you for catching that, John.
Actually, yeah, they caught it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, a motion to approve is presented at the salary of $58,000.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And for clarification, we do have approval to fill Susan Buchanan's vacated position.
Consensus on that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other staff comments? Okay, Rob?
Okay, I know we're running
90 seconds.
behind schedule. First of all, I wanted to welcome Sarah, and I think it's may not be known, but I believe, Sarah, while you were here for the county, you achieved your CPA, is that correct? Yes, that's correct. And your master's in business administration while working for the county. So, thank you very much, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Susan, worked with you quite often, and I know Jim has the highest confidence in you, so congratulations to you as well.
Thank you as well. Thank you to the commissioners for their confidence as well, and putting me in this position. Thank you to Jim and his planning through succession over the last several years for the department, that I feel that I am prepared for this position, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, quick couple matters of business to try to get addressed very quickly. Downsville and Halfway, the commissioners asked if that property was for sale. 2 questions last week. If the property was for sale, we've been advised by the owners that it is not for sale. And the second question is, would the sale of those properties or the purchase of those properties qualify for POS money? What I've been told by staff is that it would at the appraised value. So if it were appropriately appraised, which our staff is very familiar with doing in accordance with procedures, that fee would be eligible for POS money, but only that fee. So, second, I want to bring up a very busy day for the commissioners, having chamber lunch program, which we're headed to at 11, joint meeting with the Board of Education after that, and finally, a Williamsport meeting, which I can tell you that if we need to leave early, that any staff member that's on the agenda, we will either postpone or they will be here in the evening to present to the at Williamsport in the evening to present to the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports from county staff? Okay, we'll do the appointments this evening. Everyone okay with that? The boards and commissions, okay. Let's move on down here to Community Grant Management Office and name and title changes. Mr. Hovis, are you going to be at the this evening's meeting? I will. Can we do that this evening? We can. Okay. Unless we have time, I'm sorry. Just trying to get through all of the. So, do we have any staff here that would not be available this evening that needs to get their agenda item in? Okay. Okay, so let's let's go to the Jarmy and the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. Mr. Seifert.
Morning. We have a CREP easement for the Jarmy family, about 13 acres on Keedysville Road. The CREP buffers the stream. You can see on the map there the entire farm, 13 acres would be preserved. It's a small project, but it fills a hole, extinguishes 3 development rights, the $28,540.26, 100% paid by DNR, and it includes administrative and all other costs. Are there any questions?
Second.
Motion and second for the approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you. Okay, let's go to, I don't see the sheriff's on here. Okay, sole source bid award, purchase of gas, yeah, I'll let you pronounce that, Spectrometer equipment.
Morning. Before you, the sole source word PUR 1384 is to authorize the sole source procurement for a gas chromatography and a mass spectrometer equipment, which will have the warranty software, PC, and monitor, which will be used by the Western Maryland Regional Laboratory in the amount of $116,036.48 from Allegiant Technology Incorporated of Wilmington, Delaware. They presented their proposal that you have a copy of, and this is in line with the Code of Public Laws, which they have the existing equipment, and the reason they're purchasing it is before compatibility, and also their grant funding in the amount of $97,000 is available, which also will be in reimbursement of a grant from the City of Hagerstown of $18,159. And that's all I have to conclude for the recommendation for the award of the mass spectrometer equipment for the Western Maryland Regional Laboratory.
Just to add that to that, Commissioners, the Governing Board of the Narcotics Task Force, which includes the State's Attorney, myself, and the Chief of City of Hagerstown, have approved those funds to be used from the DAG fund for the purchase of the mass spectrometer.
Okay, motion to move forward.
Moved.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. And Rick, do you just want to stay there and do the?
Yes, sir.
You got a bid rejection?
Yes, sir. This is bid rejection PUR 1359 for one hazmat unit. We're asking to reject all the bids. One, because the bids did not meet specification or they came in over budget. The department has revised the specification, and then we'll re-advertise and re-solicit for new pricing.
Any questions, Commissioners? If none, motion to move forward.
Second.
Motion and a second for the rejection. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the Mark Bradshaw, Conococheague Treatment Plant, ENR upgrade change order. How are you this morning?
Doing all right. How are you guys?
Good, good.
I have change order number 4 here today associated with the Conococheague treatment plant. As you can see, there's 15 different individual line items. I'll go over them real quickly. The first one deals with a surface waster that had an elevation conflict, and we had to unfortunately add extenders to some of the guide rails. So that's what that expense is. Ox ditch number 1, once we got it drained, we had a significant amount of sludge in there. We had anticipated that the sludge between all 3 tanks would be 120 cubic yards. We used that volume up when we cleaned out ox ditch number 3, so we way beyond the quantity, so the contractor has requested a change order for that. Number 3 dealt with the new walls that had to be built in ox ditch number 1. There was an elevation error on the drawings that showed a discrepancy of 18 inches. When we drained the tank, that 18 inches was not there, so all the forms and rebar had to be modified from what was shown on the plans. Number 4 deals with exhaust fans in the headworks building. Originally they were shown to be roof-mounted fans, but we changed them to wall mount. But we also discovered that the headworks is considered a hazardous environment, and therefore all the motors have to be explosion-proof, which added additional cost to purchasing the fans and install them. Number 5 is actually a credit. We were able to rearrange some of the piping, eliminate a bunch of fittings, and shorten the piping up. So under the general conditions, we split the profits between us and the contractor for that, so we do get a credit for number 5. Number 6 deals with the utility water in the biomag building. Some of the equipment is required to have utility water, the screens and stuff. Unfortunately, it was not shown on the drawing, so it was in addition to the contract. Number 7 is the methanol facility. Methanol is a hazardous substance. It's very explosive, and we have to have double wall pipe and leak detection systems installed as part of OSHA's requirement. And we also had to have power run out to the facility. So that's what number 7 is. Number 8 deals with the solids handling building. We're putting 2 new centrifuges in, and we're putting a monorail over top the centrifuges because periodically you got to take them apart to work on them. And the monorail had a conflict with the existing HVAC system, ductwork and stuff, so we had to cut some of that ductwork out. Number 9 dealt with a new overhead door to be installed in headworks. On the steel drawings, the lintel wasn't called out, so that's what number 9 is for. Number 10 dealt with the splitter box. We had some existing piping, and the old drawing showed the pipe was capped off. Once we actually got it exposed, it was not capped. It was actually filled with concrete, so we had to cut the pipes off and do a bunch of reconfiguring that was not anticipated based on the drawings. Number 11, we had to install a new pipe underneath an existing force main. Normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but once we exposed the force main, we determined that we had 2 45s verticals in the same vicinity as the crossing, and therefore we had to add restraints to them while we did all the work, or the pipe would have came apart. Number 12 deals with the polymer piping. Currently we have 3 clarifiers. At this time we decided it would be more cost effective if we went ahead and ran the polymer feed line for the 4th clarifier, so when we build it, the line would already be there. We wouldn't have to go back and dig everything up since it was already going to be laid in the same trench with the other polymer lines. The biomag building, we had to have methanol water. We had to have potable water to methanol for the emergency eye wash. When we tested the pressure in the mains were 120 psi, which exceeds the pressure of the eye wash, so we had to reconfigure the potable water, add backflow preventers, and pressure reducing valves that were beyond the original scope. And number 14, the shear mill in the biomag building. We actually have 3 shear mills, with a fourth being proposed down the road. So we put an isolation valve in between, because now we basically will have two parallel systems that if for some reason one of the shear mills goes down, we can close a valve and we continue to operate half our equipment. And number 15 dealt with the post-epoxy tank surface wasters. They are pumps that are inside a tank, and the drawings did not show any davit cranes to be proposed to hoist them pumps up out, so we installed davit crane to pull the hoist up out of the units. What this all comes up to, it's $179,506 and an additional 33 days time added to the contract. We did negotiate this down. Originally, the contractor was asking over $250,000 to do this work, but we did negotiate it down to the $179,506 that's before you today. So if you have any questions about any particular line item.
Questions, Commissioners? If none, I'll move forward as presented.
So moved.
Motion and a second for the recommended motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move to the the Community Grant Management Office name and title changes. Mr. Hovis. And Ms. Buchanan.
Good morning. Hello again.
Good morning.
Commissioners, Jim Hovis, Chief Operations Officer, with Susan Buchanan, Director, Office of Community Grant Management. Commissioner, before you today is a request for consideration to rename the Office of Community Grant Management to the Office of Grant Management. That name would more appropriately reflect what the office does. In 2011, the Office of Community Grant Management was created as a result of a merger between the Community Partnership for Children and Families and the Washington County Gaming Office. Since that time, the role of the office has changed from managing community grants for youth and families and other purposes to overall management of all county grant funding, from construction to still the children and families, but construction and things of those natures. Moreover, the name change will be more consistent with what other county grant offices call themselves, both within the state of Maryland and outside the state of Maryland. Typically, the name is either Grant Management Office or Office of Grant Management. It seems like when we put the term community in there, there's some confusion as to what the roles and responsibilities are, and we're quite often confused with another foundation of a similar name here in Washington County, which causes some confusion and requests for further grant management. So in addition to that request, we are also asking that you consider a name change of the administrative assistant within the office of the current Office of Community Grant Management. Currently, we have an employee that manages the charitable gaming program. She's done so since 2012. Her job is to manage that program. She does the day-to-day operations. That's her sole responsibility. Because the previous board wanted to fit that position into a current salary scale, we felt it best that it fit into the administrative assistant spot. So what we're requesting today is simply that that name be changed from administrative assistant to charitable gaming manager. There'll be no change to the salary. The rate will remain as is. But what that name change will do is give all our over 100 gaming operators a clear understanding of, hey, I need to talk to the gaming manager, which is who they call for. So it's just sort of to clean things up a little bit and make it very understandable for our customers so they know who to contact.
Okay.
There will be no fiscal impact to either of these changes.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for those approvals. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you. And Ms. Buchanan, let's do the Urban Improvement Project Grant Agreement and Sub-Recipient Agreement.
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning.
Susan Buchanan, Director, Office of Grant Management, along with the Chief Operations Officer, Jim Hovis. We're here requesting a motion to approve the presented sub-recipient agreements for execution to the City of Hagerstown for consideration and formal approval by their mayor and city council. Allow for non-substantive modifications to the subrecipient agreements with the concurrence of the county attorney, and upon execution of these subrecipient agreements, approve the execution of 2 fiscal year 2018 capital projects grant agreements between the state, the funder, the county, the grantee, and the city of Hagerstown, the recipient. In 2017, the Hagerstown Urban Improvement Project received 2 Maryland Capital Bond Bill awards, one award in the amount of $155,000 and the second in the amount of $45,000. The bond bill language designated Washington County as the grantee and the city of Hagerstown as the beneficiary on both bond bills. As the grantee, the county is responsible to draft and enter into subrecipient agreements with the beneficiary. Upon execution of the subrecipient agreements, the county and the beneficiary must agree to and execute the capital project grant agreements to receive the awarded funding. Should approval be provided upon the agreements presented herein, any subsequent requests from subrecipients will be brought forward for the board for formal approval. The subrecipients agreements primarily serves as a means to detail agreed upon financial considerations as well as the obligations associated with the receipt of funding. The entire agreement is contingent upon receipt of funding from the state. The document details specific reporting procedures and remedies available to the county for a default of the agreement. Most importantly, the document incorporates the capital project grant agreement into the subrecipient agreement and holds the beneficiary responsible to the same conditions and requirements as the county. The agreement also serves to limit the county's risk of fiscal recovery by the funder in the event of a default. Per the agreement with the UIP partners, the award totaling $200,000 will be used for expenses associated with the plaza component of the UIP project. The fiscal impact of this would be the execution of the subrecipient agreements and the capital grant agreement will have no fiscal impact. However, the county would be responsible initially for the fiscal recovery in the event of a default. Then with the subrecipient agreement in place, this will provide the county remedies to recover any liabilities from the subrecipients. Any questions?
Any questions, comments, commissioners? If none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion is second for the approval. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that gets us all caught up. We'll do the boards and commissions this evening, and we're going to be on recess. We'll be back at the Board of Education out on the Downsville Pike at 1:30, and it's time to head to the chamber event. Take any of this with me?
Yeah, we don't need